In this video, we're going to use the slope of a line to prove if lines are parallel or perpendicular. So let's look at these lines. There's two very pretty purple lines. Are these lines parallel, perpendicular, or neither? So I think you already know, right? You have a feeling one type of way or another, but are you sure? You see, we practiced on a Desmos activity to make parallel lines, and we saw that making lines that are parallel without a grid under is kind of rough. There's two special kinds of lines we're going to see in geometry. We're going to see parallel lines, and we're going to see perpendicular lines. Most lines are neither parallel nor perpendicular, but when we have magic, poof, magic, you will see lines that are parallel or perpendicular. Using the slope, I can determine that lines are parallel if they have the same slope. In this example, the lines each rise 2 units and run 3 units, up 2 over 3, up 2 over 3 each time. So because they both go up 2 units and move to the right 3 units, they have the same slope. They are parallel. Perpendicular lines are a little bit different. You see, perpendicular lines intersect and form 90 degrees. So we don't want the slopes to be the same at all. We actually want the slopes to be as opposite as possible. We call these types of slopes negative reciprocals. When two slopes are negative reciprocals, what that means is that the denominator of one is going to be the numerator of the other, and vice versa, and one of the fractions will be positive and one will be negative. For example, in these purple lines, one line goes up 3 and over 1, and the other line goes down 1 and over 3. You see how the denominator matches this numerator, the denominator matches this numerator, and one fraction would be positive and one would be negative. They're called negative reciprocals, and that means that my lines are perpendicular, 90 degrees. And that's our big idea. The types of lines that we like to see in geometry are parallel lines and perpendicular lines. Parallel lines have the exact same slope. Perpendicular lines have negative reciprocal slopes. So let's try an example and determine if the lines in this picture are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So this is a great time to pause the video, and when you have completed the problem and have an answer, go ahead and continue to see my solution. You can always go to your Google Drive or My MCPS Classroom to get a copy of this worksheet. Let's try this one together. This is line E, and I can see that from point to point to point to point, line E goes up 1 over 1, so it has a slope of 1. This line that passes through F from point to point to point to point also goes up 1 over 1. It also has a slope of 1. So I can fill in this sentence. The lines are parallel lines because the slopes are the same. Two lines with the same slope are going to be parallel lines. What about this example? Pause the video, try it, come back, see my solution. Let's determine if these lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. Well, they definitely don't look parallel, but let's see if they're perpendicular. If I look at line C, I can see that line C from point to point moves down 1 over 2. So it has a slope of negative 1/2. Point to point to point to point to point on line D looks like it's going up 2 over 1. So it has a slope of 2 over 1, which is just 2. Yep, numerator, denominator, numerator, denominator, positive, negative. The lines are definitely perpendicular because the slopes are, yep, you guessed it, negative reciprocals. In this video, we talked about types of lines. We started our example with asking you what kind of lines these were. And I didn't give you a graph, but this time, let's use a graph. For our first line, I can see that this line is going up 1 over 2, so it has a slope of 1/2. This line is also going up. This one's going up 1, but it's moving over 3, so it has a slope of 1/3. Now, they maybe kind of sort of looked parallel without a graph, but now that I have a graph, I can see that they're definitely neither parallel or perpendicular, which makes sense because most lines are neither parallel or perpendicular. That's why we like it so much when we do see parallel lines with the same slope or perpendicular lines with negative reciprocal slopes. And that's pretty much our video for today. Today we talked a little bit about parallel and perpendicular lines. Thank you so much for watching. If you are looking for something to Google because you don't quite get it, go ahead and search for the slope of parallel lines. And your next move is to go back to Mind CPS Classroom and check out the next activity. Thanks.